Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching and reacting to another video. You will already know what the video is because of the thumbnail and the title, but I don't know what we're going to be reacting to quite yet because I'm going to be doing a random number generator. So there's 302 videos, and if we go over here and we do 302, we're going to generate a number 64. So we're going to watch video 64 on my to react to playlist. We're going to watch the video, and then at the end, after I'm done reading the comments and doing my whole shebang, right, I'm going to do another generation, and we'll see what the next video is going to be. I think that's how I'm going to do it from now on, because there's so many videos, and it's so hard to choose what exactly we're going to be watching. So here it is: how to go from president to unemployed in under 6 hours. So this is a video by Mujin. This is about um, the South Korea. So the South Korean president, almost 2 weeks ago now. I think I think they voted to impeach him, but 2 weeks ago he tried to put like the whole country on like lockdown, and he was trying to get rid of like everyone in the cabinet or in the government. I don't quite remember. So we're gonna watch this. And actually, I think Mujin here made two videos about this.
Guys, the South Korea situation.
So we might actually just go ahead and watch both of them. Let me see here. Yes, so he made he made two. So we're gonna actually go ahead and watch both of these here on this video, and then we're gonna take. I think I have both of them on here. Funnily enough, we'll take them both off, and at the very end of this video, I will roll a number and see what we're watching next time. So let's get into it. Okay, so the link to both of the videos that I'm going to watch is going to be in the description down below. So if you want to watch them without my commentary, you can go and take a look at that. It looks like I thumbed this up. I didn't watch it. I specifically saved it to do reaction to, and I just never got around to it. So the South Korean president just did the unthinkable. Dude thought he could just impose martial law. Martial law, that's what it was. So he went in, he imposed martial law, and within like I don't know. It was like 6 hours. Yeah, how to go from president to unemployed in under 6 hours. It was within like 6 hours. Like the whole country went on like fought back against him. So we're gonna learn a little bit more about that because I still am a little iffy on it all. So yeah, we're
Guys,
gonna.
this guys, 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 guys. The
Doesn't work.
South Korea situation is crazy. Okay,
Crazy.
the president's life's absolutely ruined after one of the dumbest decisions I've seen in my life.
Okay.
The dude tried to pull an Emperor Palpatine, but absolutely
This
failed.
looks terrible. What is this? What is this from? Is this? Is this from? I don't know. I think it's a toy. I think it's an action figure. Yeah, I think it's like an action figure.
Miserably. Not even half an hour after he stated what he was going to do, the South Koreans all went to the streets and protested.
So this is
even though the
cool.
weather was extremely
This is cool how the streets were filled with people protesting against this. This is how it should be done. And it was a calm protest from what I understand, right? There was no like looting or rioting. It was just strictly like, hey, everyone's out in the street protesting.
cold and there was a snowstorm going on, they were not gonna deal with his antics. But this wasn't even close to the craziest thing that happened throughout this incident. You had the leader of the opposing party live stream himself.
What?
trying
That's funny.
To go against the orders of the president. Okay, this was absolutely
He's hopping a fence?
wild.
What is going on?
What essentially happened was that the South Korean president enacted martial
I'll have
law
to pull this
hoping
up.
to seize full, unquestionable power, mobilizing the military and seeking to disrupt the entire country. In the end, though, he ended up completely underestimating his own citizens and made a grave miscalculation.
Obviously.
Make no mistake, this will be in the history books of your children. So I figured we should probably talk about it. Let's do it.
Will it
On
though?
December 3rd, around 10:27 p.m. South Korean time, the South
I
Korean
feel like it didn't really leave like a super big impact. Well, I guess it left a big impact on Korea, right? But the Republic of Korea. South Korea is known as the Republic of Korea, correct? I'm pretty sure. But like, is it going to leave an impact on the rest of the world? I don't really know.
President, with no prior announcement or warning, declared martial law, emergency martial law, saying that he had to rein in the country because too many politicians were corrupt and working with the enemy, which is North Korea. He said he wanted to fix the country. Now, under the Constitution of South Korea, the president can by himself actually declare martial law. What he was doing was fully within his rights. But for South Koreans, especially the ones from older generations, martial law was bad news no matter.
Coup d'etat of May 17th, and this is 1980. The military coup of 1980 carried out in South Korea by General on May 17, 1980, Chun forced the cabinet to extend martial law to the whole nation, which had previously not appealed to Jeju-do. The expanded military law closed universities, banned political activities, and further curtailed the press. To enforce the martial law, troops were dispatched to various parts of the nation. On the same day, the Korean Central Intelligence Agency raided a national conference of student unions leaders from 55 universities. About 2,700 people, including 26 politicians, were also arrested. On May 20th, 1980, were ordered the National Assembly to be dissolved by deploying troops in the National Assembly. Chun subsequently created the National Defense Emergency Policy Committee and installed himself as a member. On July 17, 1980, he resigned his position as KCIA director and then held on only the position of the committee member. In September 1980, President Cho Kyu-ha was forced to resign as president to give way to Chun. I don't know anything about this. This was way before my time. 1980?
No matter how you worded it. The last time a martial law was imposed was in the year of 1980. A rogue general had taken over the country and imposed martial law on it, closed down all newspapers, silenced anyone who was against him, arrested politicians, and put the country under dictatorship.
Yeah,
many South
became
Koreans
a dictator.
tried to go up against him, but unfortunately left this planet doing so, let's just say. The martial law order only ended up being lifted in 1981 after 456 days of suffering. And it was only in 1987 that the Sixth Republic of Korea was written and then put into place in 1988. Ever since
What? Really? 1988, huh? I guess I don't know very much about Korean history.
then, it's been a democracy and there hasn't been any martial law order imposed.
What I do know is that Korea has like really, really bad luck with their presidents. There's always seemingly a scandal going on with Korean presidents, right? Like every couple years, there's always like some major scandal.
So what the hell led us here? How are we here today? Well, Yoon Suk-yeol has been the president of South Korea since 2022. But very shortly after taking office, he became very disliked by his population. South Koreans were seeing him as ineffective, someone who couldn't put into place impactful policies to advance the country forward. And by 2024, his approval rating is as low as 20%. This means that 8 out of 10 South Koreans don't like him and want him out of the office. I mean, I think it's safe to say that even Kim Jong-un has a higher approval rating, and he wasn't even voted in by his population.
Look at this man. He's so beet red. What is going on? It's like he's like constipated or something. Maybe he's laughing. I don't know. His face is like bright red though.
Kim Jong-un has a higher approval rating, and he wasn't even voted in by his population. He is deeply unpopular. This unpopularity.
Wow, look at this. Wow.
He stretches even to the National Assembly.
This is worse
where
than
the party
Biden.
that has the majority of votes is the opposing party, the one who is against the president. They're called the Democratic Party. So he hasn't really had much luck there either, not able to pass the bills he wants to pass.
So he's a lame
Very
duck
recently,
president.
on November 29th, 2024, the budget that the president wants to pass for 2025 was cut by $2.9 billion. This was done by the opposition party, the Democratic Party. The same party who's been trying to investigate the wife of the president multiple times now over corruption charges, and just very recently started the process to impeach the head of the state audit agency and 3 prosecutors involved in those scandals. So as you can see, the president has a bit of a rivalry with the Democratic Party. This led many to theorize
What's
that
the
all
wife
these
doing?
things accumulated led him to take the decision of martial law, with the budget cut being the final nail in the coffin. He saw his political career ending with shame and decided to take a huge risk, but it's a risk that stank miles away. It simply didn't smell like the best of intentions. Look, there's two different kinds of martial laws: emergency martial law and security martial law, okay? The most drastic one is emergency martial law, which is the one he had imposed, the same one that was used in 1980. So he could essentially close any media publication he wants to, arrest any person on South Korean soil without any arrest warrant needed, impose curfews, and straight up confiscate someone's bank account if you wanted to. And
Yeah, so this is why the country basically went out to protest, because that's extreme. That's crazy.
the list goes on. He can do pretty much anything he wants to with no approval needed. The only thing that can stop him is the National Assembly voting to lift the martial law. That's the only threat he faces while having absolute power. Panic was starting to set in. Whether you were a normal citizen, someone in the military, a police officer, it didn't matter. Something like this hadn't happened in over 40 years, and they had no warning prior. The whole thing was extremely unorganized. Now, unfortunately, the initial reaction in the West to this was K-pop stans being worried that their favorite K-pop groups were not going to perform anymore, because after the martial law was imposed, major entertainment companies
Dude, the celebrity worship in the West is so stupid. K-pop artists from major entertainment companies are reportedly receiving continuous calls to refrain from attending events starting tomorrow following emergency martial law. Festivals and events being canceled nationwide. And everyone was concerned that they wouldn't be able to see their K-pop stars anymore, when they should be worried about the country itself. Why? Why is celebrity worship such a big thing? I can never understand it.
were canceling events. But hey, I guess they helped spread the word around. As the news was starting to reach the West,
Whatever happened? What's that one pop group? BTS. One of the members is in the military now, right? Because South Korea has has a mandatory enrollment service thing for the military, right? Everyone has to be part of the military.
Updates from South Korea. The martial law commander was announced. It was going to be a man by the name of Park An-soo. He then proceeded to shock the world with his first announcement after taking over this position: that all activities related to the National Assembly and political parties are now banned. I think you're starting to understand why this was such a big deal, right? The only people who can stop the martial law have effectively been banned, well, from being able to stop it. It was very clear now why the president was so secretive, why there were no prior announcements. He had announced the martial law order at 10:30 p.m. so that the National Assembly members could not make it to the National Assembly. He wanted to catch them all off guard and take control while they were sleeping.
He was a trickster. He thought he was a little mastermind there.
All of this was confirmed when a big problem had revealed itself. The military had been mobilized to block all access to the National Assembly. The stakes at this point could not have been any higher. The South Koreans were essentially seeing their democracy slip through their fingers, and the older generation was having terrible flashbacks back to the year of 1980. But South Korean men are obligated to serve in the South Korean military through conscription, and while women are not obligated to, they can still voluntarily join. This meant that they didn't really fear the military as much as a regular person would.
Yeah, because everyone is military trained.
Weren't just gonna back down. Even after fully understanding the situation, the opposition Democratic Party urgently summoned its members of the National Assembly. They were going to go and lift that martial law even if the entire army was standing in their way. The South Korean people were aware of these efforts, so they made their way to the National Assembly to help them. There's this clip right here that went absolutely viral of a woman holding a rifle in front of her and not giving a single shit about what would happen if it was shot. Watch.
Oh, right here. Wow.
The
Brave.
president was not going against
Very
the
brave.
opposition party here. He was going against these regular people. And he had grossly miscalculated just how strong these people were. He had sent the military, he had sent helicopters flying over the National Assembly trying to dissuade people from even approaching it, but nothing was working. The leader of the opposition party live streamed himself, okay, sneaking into the National Assembly by hopping over a fence. Like, this is something that you don't see at all. This is crazy. People were in full defiance here. This is such an incredible image that really shows you how the South Korean people came together very quickly to make sure that all the parliament members get through to the National Assembly.
They were lifting the people up. Wait. Okay, so they were lifting people up over the fence. Why not just? Well, I guess the fence is probably reinforced, huh? But with enough people there, they could throw, I don't know, some chains around this and to have a car and pull it off. But I guess they don't want to destroy the property, huh? From my understanding, like these East Asian countries, the people are a bit more sensible. Like here in the U.S., that whole fence would have been gone already. Like a truck would have rammed into it or something.
I mean, they're over here lifting the parliament member up the fence so that he can go and vote on nullifying this crazy martial law order. You truly don't see this every day. The members were able to sneak into the National Assembly and start the vote. However, the military was still trying to stop them. They were breaking windows and trying to get to the National Assembly to stop whatever was going on because under martial law, this was illegal. But again, the South Korean people showed incredible resilience. They put up barricades from inside the National Assembly. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. Look at all this furniture in front of the doors. Good luck getting through that.
Oh my God.
It's not happening unless you have a bulldozer. This is what happens when your citizens go through conscription. They were using the military's tactics against them. And thanks to their efforts, 190 members of the National Assembly were able to make it and vote yes to lift the martial law order, completely defying the president. Now, of course, this was a great moment, but it didn't mean much just yet. The president had to acknowledge this and actually order the military to leave. If he didn't, things would have gotten very complicated and he would have been accused of treason. Thankfully, though, 6 hours after declaring the martial law order, he did another speech acknowledging the National Assembly's vote and completely lifting it. As soon as he did that, the soldiers started leaving the National Assembly, retreating, and getting back to their normal lives. The South Korean people pretty much won, making sure to not repeat the same events that had happened in 1980 and all the other martial laws that were abused by people who wanted to stay in power. When things started to calm down, the Democratic Party revealed that the military planned to arrest the Assembly Speaker and party leaders under martial law, which made them review possible insurrection charges. I think it's common sense to say that if you want to arrest your political opponents, that is pretty much against what democracy stands for. That's a very serious accusation. Shortly after, the Democratic Party floor leader, Park Chan-dae, called for President Yoon to step down immediately, saying President Yoon cannot avoid the charge of treason, he must step down immediately. As this was all happening, the senior aides and secretaries of the president have started resigning.
I mean, it makes sense if he didn't have the backing.
Failed coup, okay? He had turned from dictator to clown in the span of like 4 hours. Even his own senior officials can't back him up anymore. The dude screwed up royally. At this point, it's almost guaranteed that he's going to get impeached and most likely also probably thrown into jail. This was a massive...
Spoiler alert, I do believe the impeachment went through, but I don't know any details beyond that.
Wake-up call to South Korea because they haven't had to deal with something like this for over 40 years. Thankfully, they were able to avert the crisis, but still, one has to think, what if it did end up working? What would have happened then? But I think the funniest thing in all this is that there are people who slept early and woke up and had no idea this had happened.
Yeah.
Protests and fights in the country.
I'm literally in Korea right now for a visit and shit happens while I was asleep from jet lag, Lamau. My whole Korean family is hella pissed at me and calling him at him and calling him a clown.
With an imminent dictatorship and are just now finding out, like this person right here who commented on my YouTube post saying, I'm literally in Korea right now for a visit and this shit happens while I was asleep from jet lag. LMAO, my whole Korean family is hella pissed at him and calling him a clown. I saw a lot of confusion about this topic, with many people not knowing what happened, so I
It was
thought
so
I'd make a
quick.
quick video explaining it. Hope it helped. Thank you for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you. Mwah.
Bobby Lee? What? Kim Jong-un? Bro, what are these people doing? Lamau? Okay, wow. We're gonna go and watch the next video, which was 9 days ago. A sequel to that previous video, and then we're gonna look at some of the news articles. And he was impeached December 14th. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and watch this next one.
Guys, I cannot express to you the shock that I felt when I saw the news that came out of South Korea today. This image you're
South Korea's most unexpected plot twist of the year. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this.
Seeing right here will go down as one of the most iconic images in recent South Korean politics, but for all the wrong reasons.
Half of the people are missing.
What just happened is as crazy as the martial law order from just a few days ago. I'd even argue it's crazier.
So I don't know anything about this. What is this? What is this?
Do this.
Tell me.
So a few days ago, the South Korean president decided to impose martial law without any announcements prior at 10:30 p.m. He ordered the military to block off the National Assembly because it was the only way to lift the martial law. He tried his best to do a full military mobilization with even helicopters flying above. But thanks to many protesters coming out very late at night, going up against—
How do they get these signs so quickly? Because these are like nice quality signs. Like this one's clearly printed, but this one looks like, I don't know, like it has some like plastic over it, and they're all the same too. How'd they get them so quick?
The military and 190 legislators from the National Assembly showing up to vote, the martial law was lifted. What did the president have to say about this? Well,
South Korean president says he's very sorry for causing anxiety with his declaration of martial law. Wow.
Very sorry for causing anxiety with his declaration of martial law.
Wow.
He basically said, whoopsies, and left. Like, what? This wasn't something he could just get away with, though. This was the first instance of martial law in over 40 years. And even worse, once it was lifted, it turned out that he had ordered the arrest of the opposing party leader, as well as his own party leader, the dude leading his own party in the National Assembly.
He was just trying to get rid of everybody.
Not making any sense. He pretty much wanted everyone arrested. And I mean, to many, this did sound like a coup, an attempt at taking absolute power.
Yeah.
But get this. The next day, the president's political party held an emergency meeting to discuss this, to try to understand the logic behind this martial law that they had never heard of until its announcement. And they actually had this theory that the reason he declared martial law was because he was lonely and needed a friend to talk to.
What? But me, what I naturally fixated on was the all-too-perfect characterization made by pro-Yoon partisans in the South Korean legislature, argued in the party meeting that the president declared martial law because he was lonely and needed a friend to talk to. Okay, so these are the people that support him. Okay. That is the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Dude, what are South Korean politics? Like, what are we doing here? What is this? Now, even though he wanted to arrest his own party leader, his apology contained a contradictory piece of information that he was trying to convey to the South Korean people. He said, "I'll leave it up to my party to take steps to stabilize the political situation in the future, including the issue of my term in office," promising there would be no second attempt to impose martial law. So zero intention of stepping down as president, instead
That's wild.
saying, you know what, my party's gonna handle it, just forget I exist. But it doesn't work that way. He can just wake up 6 months or 12 months from now and decide, you know what, I'm president again, obey me. So it's no surprise that the opposing party wanted to impeach him as soon as possible, expecting his own party to turn—
What does this say? Protesters hold up signs that read "Step down, President Yoon." Okay. This is well after the fact, I guess. No, this is December 4th. This is the day. Huh. How do they get these signs so quick?
Turn on him so that they can vote for the impeachment as well. And while the president promised that he wasn't going to impose martial law for a second,
Democratic Assembly member Lee Hoon-ki sleeping in the main hall to keep vigil against another coup attempt. Oh wow, that's like perfect perfect media spotlight. What's the term? Where you utilize a situation like this to highlight yourself. God, what is the term? I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, this is going to get him reelected 100%, right?
Time. Some legislators were not going to take any risk like this one from the opposing party, literally sleeping in the National Assembly so
that looks pretty comfortable. That looks pretty comfortable.
Caught by surprise like the first time. It's crazy.
There's another map back
there. I asked the question again. What the hell are South Korean politics? Like, what is this? Regardless of the fact that a legislator was literally sleeping in the National Assembly, December 7th had finally arrived. This was it. The legislators were about to meet up to vote to impeach the president. And even though the weather was 0 degrees Celsius, thousands of people had shown up to stand in front of the National Assembly to show their support for the impeachment of the president. Look at this crazy amount of people. It's staggering. It was clear. This is what South Koreans wanted. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't that simple. I spoke about this in my previous video. This is how the National Assembly is divided in South Korea in terms of parties. There are 300 seats total. So the red is the People Power Party. This is the party of the president. The blue, which is the majority, is the Democratic Party. This is the opposing party who has tried to impeach the president over 22 times, even before the martial law coup.
They tried to impeach him 22 times? Why? Wait. Okay, so what's the reasoning behind them trying to impeach him 22 times in the past 2 years? Because the dude was only president since 2022. So in the past 2 years, they were trying to impeach him 22 times? There's got to be more to the story then, right? There has to be more to the story.
And the other colors you see here are the other parties that were voted in, sometimes having 1 seat or 3 seats, for example. The Democratic Party had an agreement with those smaller parties. They were going to be allies and vote together on the impeachment of the president. But there was one problem. They were only 192 members. In order for a bill to pass, 2/3 of the people present in the National Assembly need to vote yes. Impeachment, though, is an exception where it needs a minimum of 200, period. Doesn't matter if you show up or not. This meant that the Democratic Party, as well as the smaller parties, needed to rely on a few backstabbing votes in the People Power Party to go against their own president in order to achieve the 200 vote threshold to impeach him. In theory, this should be simple because the president wanted to arrest his own party leader. But of course, nothing is ever simple in politics. The party leader of the People Power Party, Han Dong-hoon, who the president wanted arrested during the martial law order, had said that yes, the president is hopeless, he needs to step down, but didn't quite want to impeach him. He actually had a different idea. He wanted to strip all power from the president and get the prime minister to do his duties instead. This is obviously something unprecedented and something that the opposing party has called illegal, crazy.
Well, yeah.
But the logic behind such a proposition is something we've seen over and over again.
Well, you don't want to do that because that consolidates power even more so. I mean, if you're giving the power of the president to the prime minister,
many countries throughout history. Han Dong-hoon and the People Power Party did not want to give up, well, their power. They're the governing party until 2027, until the president's current term ends. And they simply don't want to give this up, even though, right, this dude was about to be arrested if the martial law wasn't stopped by the opposing party. He is still clinging on to power. This, of course, worried the Democratic Party that this vote wasn't going to pass, that he was going to order all his legislators to not show up to the vote. So they came up with a plan. The Democratic Party, instead of just voting on the bill of impeachment, was going to vote on another bill first. The prosecution of the First Lady of South Korea, the president's wife. Look, she's been in many scandals. Okay, in the
First
beginning
Lady Dior bag shakes country leadership. I don't know what a Dior bag is. Is that, I think Dior is like a brand, isn't it?
year, she had a scandal where she had accepted a Dior bag from a pastor, which was pretty much bribery, according to the Democratic Party. But more recently, the Democratic Party alleges that she was involved in stock manipulation and election nomination interference. Some very serious level stuff.
Yeah,
And unlike
insider trading and colluding with
the whole Dior bag
electorals.
case where they wanted to assign 3 prosecutors, they wanted to assign 30 different prosecutors on this case. So obviously, if something like this passes, the People Power Party, let's just call them PPP from now on, is in big trouble. And their hopes and dreams of clinging on to power, even though their president did something extremely irresponsible, vanish. They had to show up and vote no on this bill. What the Democratic Party was going to do is that as soon as they voted no on this bill, they would immediately start the vote on the second bill, which was the impeachment of the president, forcing them to be there. This obviously sounds like a genius 5D chess move on paper, but was it actually going to work? It remained to be seen. But one thing was for certain, many South Koreans were on the streets. And not just any South Koreans, right? You had all sorts of South Koreans, like straight up idols who usually remain apolitical, show up to protest this.
I don't know who
people
this
from
is.
all sorts of economic backgrounds.
Is that a Mickey Mouse glove? They're selling it down here.
Sorts of different neighborhoods, all coming to protest in their own way. I mean, just look
this is literally advertisement. This is literally advertisement. It's not a protest. This is advertisement. 4.2 million views, and look right down here. He's selling it right down here. K-pop store.
Crowns. All sorts of different neighborhoods, all coming to protest in their own way. I mean, just look at this. Seriously, look at this. Someone recreated the head of the president and is slapping it with a hammer. Some dude just showed up with a baguette. Like just the baguette.
That's funny.
Again, what is South Korea? These protests even spread to Japan. It wasn't just a South Korean thing. This had spread worldwide. Everyone was hoping that a leader like this gets held accountable, not just for the sake of the South Korean people, but for the sake of their democratic systems. A lot was riding on this, and it was almost time. As expected by the Democratic Party and its allies, the PPP had shown up because of the first bill against the First Lady. Okay, everyone was in place. There were no absentees. But as I mentioned earlier, this plan looked good on paper. Reality was about to be very different. The vote to prosecute the First Lady was actually extremely close, only missing 2 votes to reach 200, which meant that 6 different legislators from the PPP party, from the president's own party, voted to prosecute the First Lady. And yes, while the vote failed, it was expected. However, it gave people hope. Okay, like if there's 6 people going up against the president already, they must vote to impeach him, right? Well, as you can see from this image, as soon as the first vote ended, the second vote started, and every single PPP member, except for 3,
I was going to say, there's 1 there, there's 2 back here,
all stood up and left the room. This is an image of the National Assembly hallway, and here you can see some of the PPP legislators that stood up and left being shouted at in protest by the people there. They were in disbelief over what had just happened. The Democratic Party didn't just let this slide. They all stood up and started calling each individual name of the PPP legislators that had decided to leave the National Assembly. Watch.
Wow.
권영세 의원, 권영진 의원, 김건 의원, 김기웅 의원.
They were not going to let them go away without shaming them, each and every single one of them. But even after doing so, none of them came back, right? The vote had officially failed. And the Democratic Party legislators, as well as their allies, had also begun to leave the National Assembly. When the news of the impeachment failing started circulating, this was the reaction of the thousands of protesters sitting in freezing weather outside. Watch.
대통령 윤석열 탄핵소추안을 상정합니다.
Obviously, they weren't happy. Look, the reality is that, according to Gallup Korea, the president's approval rating has
13%.
plummeted down to 13%.
Well,
dude.
spoilers
That's
again. Spoilers. He was eventually impeached, so we'll go over that.
insane. That means that almost 9 out of 10 South Koreans are going to tell you that they want this president out, impeached, replaced. This means that, objectively speaking, the legislators not
It's a shame Mujin didn't make another video. I was really hoping he would.
voting to impeach him are going directly against what the South Korean people want. The opposing party was not going to let this slide. On the official National Assembly Twitter account, here's what they had to say in a statement posted recently. They said, "It is very regrettable that a vote was not even held on such an important national issue." They said the failure to vote on this issue means that the democratic procedure for judging whether something is good or not failed. I'm paraphrasing since this translation is really bad. And then they said, "On behalf of the National Assembly, I apologize to the people." Shortly afterwards, the floor leader of the PPP resigned. He's being accused of having colluded with the president in declaring martial law. He was aware of it, unlike most other people. The Democratic Party
Wow.
is not going to let this
Wow,
go away.
okay.
They're already planning the next vote to impeach the president, starting as early as next week. And many South Koreans are not giving up anytime soon because this had actually happened back in 2016. Back then, the first female South Korean president was accused of corruption and
She was like working with a bunch of different companies, right?
extortion. And even though the proof
Oh, yeah,
was on
here,
the table,
extort
it
money
was
and
well
favors from
known,
companies.
it took weeks to impeach her, multiple votes, and millions of protesters showing up every single week to the National Assembly. Many are hoping that with enough protest, the same thing happens with this president, and that it takes, of course, less time. If the president's impeached, there will be a new election that will be held within 60 days to find a new president. And I think it's safe to say
Wait, so does he stay president for the 60 days?
that if there is an election, the PPP will have a very hard time winning.
Well, yeah.
Thanks so much for watching the video till the end, guys, and thank you so much for your recent support. This is yet again another all-nighter, and I'll probably update you if the impeachment goes through. Otherwise, expect other videos coming, well, pretty damn soon. Thanks so much.
He never
I love
talked
you
about the
so much.
impeachment.
Mwah.
That was like 4 days ago. Kim Jong-un again, Bobby Lee. Nah, man, I definitely have more than 13% approval rate. Okay, all right. He was eventually impeached. South Korea impeached leader avoids. Close to arrest. This is 22 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and read this first title from AP News. South Korea's impeached leader avoids investigators as courts begin meeting to determine his fate. South Korea's impeached president dodged requests by investigators and agencies to appear for questioning over his short-lived martial law decree. As the Constitutional Court begins its first meeting Monday on Yoon's case to determine whether to formally unseat or reinstate him. A joint investigative team involving police and anti-corruption agency and defense ministry said it wants to question Yoon on charges of rebellion and abuse of power in connection with his ill-conceived power grab. Why would they even reinstate him? He tried to take over the country. But I guess there has to be, I mean, it's a government, right? If you want the government to be consistent, there are steps in the process. You can't just, skip over things, I suppose. Yoon was impeached by the opposition-controlled National Assembly on Saturday over his December 3rd martial law decree. His presidential powers have been subsequently suspended, and the Constitutional Court is to determine whether to formally remove him from office or reinstate him. If Yoon is dismissed, a national election to choose his successor must be held within 60 days. Wait. So he's impeached. He's impeached, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be the president anymore. They could reinstate him? Yoon has justified his martial law enforcement as a necessary act of governance against the main liberal opposition Democratic Party that he described as anti-state forces, bogging down his agendas and vowed to fight to the end against efforts to remove him from office. I want to look up and see why he was impeached for tried to be impeached 22 different times earlier. Yoon's presidential secret service security service was also resisted a police attempt to search Yoon's office for his evidence. Okay. The court has up to 180 days to rule, but observers say the ruling could come faster. Okay. He lost. No, that's a different person. I want to look up. I want to look up why he was impeached prior, like 22 days. There's Wikipedia right there. I wanted, I wanted to look up Wikipedia. Wikipedia is pretty good at consolidation most of the time. So I want to see prior impeachments. This is just this particular impeachment. Yeah. Okay. Is there any prior impeachment? Second motion. Related motions. Popular reactions. Opinion polling. So 204 votes was it was so 204 votes went through, so he was impeached. Let's look up him in particular. So this is the man. Candidacy, presidential. He's old. Early career, prosecutor general, presidential election. Favorite 30%. Candidacy. 52-hour maximum. Wait. Yoon came under criticism for several perceived gaffes and controversial statements. In July, Yoon advocated for a 120-hour work week while critiquing presidential Moon's policy of the 52-hour minimum or maximum work. 120-hour work week, dog. What is that all about? I didn't impeach you for that too. Dang, dude. Presidential. Energy policy, gender equality policy, anti-feminist sentiment for political gain, crowd crush, foreign policy. All right, let's do this. Impeach. Impeachment. Impeachments. His office. Yoon boycotted the opening in the inaugural session's new National Assembly on the 2nd of September, making him the first South Korean leader not to attend the ceremony since the restoration of democracy in 1988. His office said that he did not attend, saying that the chamber over issues demanded for a special prosecutor investigation and impeachments. This is just talking about this particular impeachment. Where's all the different impeachment attempts? That's what I want to know. Like, why were there so many other prior impeachment attempts? Yeah, they're just talking. Okay, so the only thing we're gonna get out of this is the current impeachment attempts. I guess I'll look it up. I don't know. Everything's just going to be about the most recent one here. After 22 impeachment attempts, the embattled president likely thinks the radical course is warranted. I've never heard of this. Responsible statecraft. Never heard of this. After 22 impeachment attempts, the embattled president likely thinks the radical course is warranted, but just may backfire on him. Can we... Dark mode, please. The move marking the first ever suspension of democratic rights. Presumably, the decision. This is just going to talk about the current day, isn't it? All right. In martial law declaration speech, yeah, okay. Various undermining of his governments. So, in the martial law declaration speech, Yoon called for an urgent need to normalize the country and explicitly criticized the opposition-dominated National Assembly various activities undermining his governance, including its 22 attempts to impeach his administration officials since his inauguration, cutting of 4.1 trillion won from his administration's proposed budget for next year. So, 22 attempts of impeachment to his administration, and cutting his budget by 4 trillion won. Why? 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 Why the 22 prior impeachments? Everything's just going to be about this new stuff. Okay. Let's go back. I'm going to read some comments. So yeah, he was impeached, but I guess they're still going to hold conference to see if they should fire him or not. I guess that's crazy to me. That's wild to me. But there's rules, right? I remember one Korean comment that says, "Why do we always end up doing the impeachment protest during winter?" Who knows? I've heard both sorry and I'm lonely in a single VTube stream, but I'm not expecting these words coming out of a South Korean president's mouth. Bro, what? Even if literally 99.99% of people in Korea want this president gone, they can't replace him unless his own party shows up and votes against him? I know, kind of crazy. This just proved to all Korean citizens just how corrupt the Korean system is. Feeling lonely, might declare martial law later. That's funny. That's funny. This doesn't denote that the government is corrupt. Actually, I would say this is fair. Maybe there needs to be more rulings against somebody that is trying to like attempt a coup. Like if you attempt a coup in the U.S., if someone attempts a coup, then they're like automatically like put to jail, right? But like trying to get something done and needing the other political party's votes seems like a good thing. Even the military were not very into it. They did what they were told, but very unwilling attitude. No cutting electricity, no tear gas, no warning shots. Minister of National Defense told the commander to take live rounds, but the commander thought it was a crazy idea. He only took 100 live rounds for himself, just in case, and left it in the backseat of the car. He told the soldiers to carry the guns on the back instead of carrying on their stomach. The president filled the high positions. Well, this is a lie because that video of that one lady like pulling the gun and the gun was pointed at her. The president filled the high positions with his inner circle to have control of the army, but lacked the support and justification from soldiers to do anything. Tried to impeach 22 times before. Who the hell is the guy, and how is he just that unpopular? The opposition party is that unliked. It's a trend in South Korea. Most of their presidents end up in prison right after their term, unpopular, and still get voted as president. Well, tried to, very loose. Better question, how did he even become the president if he's this unlikable? 90% approval rating from martial law, by the way. They weren't against him. They were against prosecutors and government officials. They weren't against him. They were against prosecutors and government officials. Yoon was a former prosecutor and still holds massive influence in that field. He was using that influence in ways he shouldn't have, thus impeachments. Huh. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm kind of interested in seeing what some of the newer comments have to say on this video in particular. Good news, he's impeached now. Well, guess what? They actually did it. Breaking news. Haha, if the Western world was waiting for some concert in Heart that got canceled, they would respond more extreme.
Happy. Look.
Corrupted system, corrupted politicians. Hey, the second vote to impeachment just passed. Deep corrupted oligarchical state. One person in power used it to try to overthrow old order and failed, and he is now villain. Samsung people win. Samsung people win? What does that mean? Is this like some sort of racist sentiment? Because Samsung's like a Korean company, right? Adolf just wanted to get close to his best friend Joseph in 1933. What are these comments? False. This is not true. Get it right. Crazy how in the past week this is the only instance of me hearing about this. I've heard more about the assassination of health insurance CEO. True. Part 3 coming, right? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Martial law was bait to obtain evidence in regards to election fraud. What? The martial law was bait to obtain evidence in regards to election fraud. The list of these criminals are out with receipts. This is the so-called civilians who were captured on TV were paid goons of the left. He learns from Trump. When did Trump declare martial law? Damn, what a power move. This is what Republicans want in America to turn into. What? We live in a world where everything is mostly digital, so why can we not create an application of our phones which lets people vote for everything? Corruption. There would be so many. It would be hacked. It wouldn't work. Because the wannabe dictators like this man want to be able to physically prevent people from voting against them. Anything that's digital has much more security vulnerabilities than physical voting. Yes, exactly. Okay. Honestly, not much crazier than U.S. politics. Funnily enough, Park Geun-hye is the daughter of the Korean dictator. For a country who has laws against bribery is highly against them, and every day I could smell the bribery. It reeks. Man, the PVP really just served up massive electoral victory to the opposition on silver platter. That's what I was thinking. It's like once their seats go up for election again, those guys aren't getting elected. And that's exactly why they said their names out during that first failed impeachment attempt, I guess. I love how the left is closer to actual Nazis than any other party. What? Hold on, they didn't even show up? Well, they did show up. Now I don't know much about politics, but isn't that the fucking job? No. It's not. Showing up is not a mandatory thing. Do deeper research. All the info you share are direct translations from mass media. You have no clue what you are sharing and only reading the surface level. Well, then you share it then. If you know better, then share the information. Come on, guys. Huh. Okay, South Koreans should really take inspiration from the French. What, chop off everyone's heads? Isn't that what they did during the French Revolution? They rounded up all the nobility and chopped their heads off. Samsung Gaming? This is crazy. North Koreans' reaction to this? Keck W. It was 6 hours and nobody died, so... The male loneliness epidemic is in full swing in South Korea. Even the president is suffering. All right, we're going to end it there, guys. We're going to end it there. We're going to see what our next video we're going to be reacting to is. The videos that I just reacted to, the links will be in the description down below. So make sure to go check that out. But yeah, the next video, we have 300 videos. So let's go ahead and see what our next video is going to be. 117. So 117 is the Indo-Pakistan War 1965 animated history, the Armchair Historian. Okay, so the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 is going to be the next video that we react to. Well, make sure to stick around and watch it. I'll catch you on the next one, yeah? Take care, goodbye.